Welcome to the 8th Annual Regionals and World Championship Optimist International Oratorical Contest. My name is Dave Bruns, and I'm a past international president of this fine organization. You'll be meeting several optimists as we go forward with this competition. Hopefully you've already met a lot of fine optimists because this is a tournament of champions. How many of you have won a scholarship at the district level already? Raise your hand. Let's give them all a round of applause. So truly, this is a tournament of champions. To be here, you've had to already pass by and get a scholarship from our foundations. And you'll be meeting some of these people, and hopefully you get the opportunity to thank some of our leaders of our organizations. But this is a partnership between three organizations: Optimist International, and our motto is the friend of youth, and it's our mission is to bring out the best in our youth, in our communities, and in ourselves. So Optimist International, and you'll hear from him in a few minutes, but I do want him to at least stand up and be recognized. Now, our Optimist International president from Kitchener, Ontario, Bob McFadden. And she probably doesn't want to stand up, but also give a round of applause to his lovely wife, Penny. Another one of our partners that sponsors this contest is the Optimist International Foundation, and you will hear from her in a little bit, but I want her to stand to be recognized. The president of our Optimist International Foundation, Deb Merritt. And she's not with us tonight, but Anne Michelle Doyle from Ottawa, Ontario, is the president of the Canadian Children's Optimist Foundation. So those are the people who provide the scholarships at the district level, at the regional level, and then for our world championships. Now, I would like all the optimists that are in this room to stand up, because this contest involves thousands of people from clubs all over the world. So if you're an optimist, stand up to be recognized. Let's give them a round of applause. This year in the regional contest, we have 7 nations represented. And I think that's fantastic. Literally, we have contestants from around the globe. So each of you should be congratulated for being champions and for now participating in this contest. It's my opportunity to just briefly tell you, I'm not going to read this book to you. This is a book I wrote on the 100th anniversary of Optimist International. You'll see in a minute why I have this book, but it's my pleasure to just give you a little brief history about the Optimist International Oratorical Contest. This contest is 95 years old. This contest was started in 1928, and at that time, it was started by our junior optimists, which are those in either middle school age or high school aged, and it was only at that time for boys. The first winner was an immigrant from Italy who lived in Milwaukee, and he gave his speech about what it was like growing up in a Italian neighborhood in Milwaukee. At the time, the motto of Optimist International had been "Friend of the Delinquent Boy," and how he and his colleagues were able to overcome adversity by participating in the Junior Optimist program. And this young man went on and ended up moving to California, and as an adult he started a chain of restaurants named Carl's in Southern California, so he did quite well. But since that time, we've advanced quite a bit. So I'm going to go fast forward, because you don't want to sit here and listen to me all night. I'm going to fast forward to the early 1970s. In the 1970s, fortunately, we decided that this should be a co-ed contest. And at that time, the ultimate level you could reach was the district contest, which you've already been through. And the Optimist International Foundation, at that time, there was only one, gave a scholarship, and there was no place else to compete after that. But in 2015, I think it was, is Joe Perrin in here? Are you? This gentleman over here, Judge Joseph Perrin from Lawrence, Kansas, he and I serve on the Kansas Court of Appeals. He's retired now, but I still consider him to be my colleague and friend. When I was elected international president of Optimist International, Joe came into my office and said, "Why don't you have any levels above the district contest?" And I thought to myself, why don't we? And instead of giving some excuse, our answer was to say, why not do it? So we met with Optimist International Foundation representatives, Optimist International international representatives. We came here to St. Louis University, and we met with the administrators here. And in 2016, we held our first regionals and world championship contest. And so because of that, now the ultimate world champion will win at least $22,500 US in scholarships. And at the time of that first contest in 1928, that first winner won a trophy and a book. So it's a little better now than it was then. Last year, well, I should tell you that during 2020 and 2021, we conducted this contest by Zoom. As you know, a lot of you were probably attending school by Zoom at that time. And we were thinking about canceling the contest in 2020, but we heard from so many students around the world saying that this is something that we would love to continue to be able to do. So we put our heads together and found a way to do it, and it was held by Zoom for 2 years. And then last year, we came back here to St. Louis University to hold the contest in person because it's certainly advantageous to each of you that are here in person, and just the camaraderie that we just saw up here and getting to know each other and your fellow contestants from around the world, that's exciting, and we're so thankful we're back here. We also made history last year because last year was the first time ever. I told you in the 1970s this contest first became co-ed, and last year, for the first time ever, each of the regional winners happened to be female. And that was, we made history last year on that. Now I participated in this contest, and actually it was 50 years ago, 1973. I know I'm not that old, but I was like 2. No, I was 12 years old when I participated in my first oratorical contest. And to show what it means to me is, you won't want to hear it, but I could recite that oration today. As a matter of fact, our prior executive director made a little friendly wager with me whether I could really do it one time, and I did. So, but it meant a lot to me. But Judge Perrin and I neither one of us won scholarships, and yet we both participated in the contest. And yet this contest did so much to help us in life. And I don't think either of us would have reached the heights that we did in the legal profession if it wasn't for this contest. Now I did something that's very, very rare. It's kind of like having a no-hitter till the bottom of the 9th in baseball and then giving up a home run. I finished second 3 years in a row. That's hard to do. So I didn't win, and back then, if you finished second, you didn't get a scholarship, but it still benefited me greatly. And something that I want each of you to realize is that you represent thousands of contestants. In our clubs, in our club contest, we have literally thousands of contestants. So to reach this level is just fascinating, and I congratulate each of you. And I also congratulate your parents and your coaches, and I want you, the contestants, to give them all a round of applause. Now, over the years, there's been quite a few people who have participated in this contest. Just a couple that you may have heard of is former Vice President Pence. Mike Pence was in the Optimist Oratorical Contest, and he won in Indiana. But one of the ones that I always find fascinating is how many have ever heard of Neil Patrick Harris? If you have. Now, some of you that are my age probably know him as Doogie Howser. But some of you that maybe are a little younger may know him about What was the show that he was on? How I Met Your Mother, I believe. And you'd probably know about that. Well, he participated in an oratorical contest in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He not only won the contest, he went on and won the district contest. At some point while doing that, he ended up being noticed by Hollywood. Now, I'm not going to tell you and promise you that anybody here is going to be noticed by Hollywood, but there's a chance. There's always that chance. And the reason why I have this book, other than I was going to read it to you if anybody gave me any trouble, the reason why I have this book is in his autobiography, Neil Patrick Harris actually wrote about being in the Optimist International Oratorical Contest. And I just want to read to you what he wrote in his autobiography, which is an interesting title, which is Choose Your Own Autobiography, which to me means choose your path in life. Pick a path in life that you want to proceed and go give it all you got. And one of our things in the Optimist Creed is to think only about the best, expect only the best. And he did that and put that philosophy to use. But here's what he wrote in his book. At the age of 13, you enter a contest by the Optimist Club, which is a huge international organization with a positive attitude when it comes to semi-filled glasses of liquid. Their assignment, deliver a speech on the subject of optimism. You and your mother, a.k.a. Optimum, conceive and write a speech together. At the competition, you deliver it with the masterly studied casualness, the masterly studied casualness of a young man who has spent way too many hours practicing his speech in front of the bathroom mirror. Now, show of hands if you've practiced your speech in front of a mirror or video. Okay, that's actually wise, and that's what Doogie did. And then he wrote, you win the district finals, and its prize, $1,000 college scholarship. Now, the scholarships have improved immensely since that time, and of course, college tuition has went up immensely as a father of two who I've sent through college. So again, I want to congratulate each of you. Remember throughout this contest that each of you are already champions, and that's something to be very, very proud of. And I want you also to remember that there are a lot of people back home that are cheering for you. This is going to be live streamed, so make sure if you haven't told them to have grandma, grandpa, aunts, uncles, friends, teachers, neighbors to watch you on live stream. This time I would like to introduce the Executive Director of Optimist International, Cheryl Brin.
Why, thank you, Dave. It's always hard to follow Mr. Bruns, but my name is Cheryl, and I will tell you I am so overjoyed to welcome you to St. Louis and to this competition. This is amazing, and the experience that I get to have over the next 2 days of watching you, it is incredibly exciting for me. So let's think about, you're here for a speech competition, public speaking. How many people do we think are actually afraid of public speaking? Does anybody know the answer? Everybody? Well, statistically, over 75% of adult Americans over the age of 18 not only are fearful of public speaking, but will actually tell you that it causes them the greatest anxiety. So this is their greatest fear. Over 75% of adults are terrified to do what you're about to do. So I think about that, and I look at that and say, oh my gosh, what an amazing, amazing amount of courage each and every one of you has to say, not only say, hey, I want to do this, I want to go in front of all these people and do this. So let me ask the question. How many of you competed this year at your local level for the very first time? Good. How many for the second time? Few. How many say for the third to fifth time? All right. Last year's winner who we got to talk with a couple weeks ago. She came and joined us in Arlington for our convention. She was in this contest 8 times. 8 times in order to get to the final. What does that mean? Because this isn't easy, right? Nobody actually gets up in the morning and says, hey, I think I'll go talk. No. That means perseverance. It means commitment. And each and every one of you have displayed that, and that has what brought you here. So I want you to remember too, when you're up here tomorrow, is take it in. Take it in and learn from each other and support each other, because each and every one of you is already a champion by being here, by having the courage to be here. I want to share with you a quick quote I just found when I was Googling. Give me a good quote. Gillian Anderson, just remember, you can do anything you set your mind to, but it takes action, perseverance, and facing your fears. So congratulations to all of you who have already done that. Before I turn this over, though, I do want to just also echo what Dave had said, in the fact that this takes an army of volunteers at the local level, at the district level, and even at the regional level to make this happen for you. They don't get paid. I get paid. They don't get paid, but they do this. And I will tell you, they do that out of love and commitment, because this is a kind of program that can help you discover everything that you are capable of. So again, congratulations for making it here. Have an incredible time on this journey, and I cannot wait to sit over there and watch what happens in these next 2 days. Before I go, let me just call up our next guest, and that is the president, the chief volunteer of all of this organization, my friend and mentor, Mr. Bob McFadden. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. And before I talk to all the contestants, we asked who were the optimists in this room, and a few of us stood up. By the way, there's an opportunity for all of you to be optimists. As president, I have to say that, okay? This is a great opportunity. This is a great organization. You meet wonderful, wonderful people. I think you're going to hear this consistently, contestants. Congratulations on being here. This is absolutely awesome. I hope you enjoy each and every moment that you're here. We adults can learn a lot from you. I was so impressed when you started getting up as a group and started talking and introducing yourselves to each other. That is something that you noticed. All the adults still sat at the table, didn't do anything, did they? We can learn from you. And I want to just tell you how impressed we are and how much we are looking forward to hearing each and every one of you tomorrow. The one thing about the Oratorical that I always talk to people about is this is a life skill that you will take with you for the rest of your life. If you can stand up here and present to us, present to a camera, just imagine what you will be able to do when it's time for you to sit down in an interview. When you are sitting across the table from somebody interviewing you for a job, the last thing in the world you want to do is not be able to face them eye to eye. If you can stand up here, you will be able to do that. No matter what happens tomorrow, you have already developed a skill that will be with you for the rest of your life. I can tell you, at your age, I could not stand up here. I'll give you a little story about an experience I had when I was 18 years old. I was in a curling bonspiel, and for those of you who don't know what curling is, it's okay, it's just a sport that we go out on ice and throw rocks. And there were 4 on a team, and there's a skip who was the lead, and we won a prize. And so as we were getting up to get our prize, the skip always says a few words, just thank you. And the skip said to me, "I'm not talking, you are." I said, "No." Anyway, I did get up and I talked. And to be quite honest with you, I was so terrified, I actually had an out-of-body experience. And I would not believe this, except that I did experience it. I had no idea what was coming out of my mouth. And I mean that quite seriously. My lovely bride over there was a girlfriend of mine at that time. We were still very young. Her mother was there, and I actually had to go up to her and say, were the words coming out of my mouth okay? Because I had no idea what it was. So the fact that you have advanced, this is critical. This is absolutely critical, and I'm just so proud of each and every one of you. I want to once again congratulate you. We are so looking forward to hearing each and every one of you tomorrow. Good luck, all the very best, and we're just let me tell you how proud we are of you. We truly are. It's now my pleasure to introduce the president of our Optimist International Foundation. This is the group that raises all the money for the scholarships, Deb Merritt.
Thank you, Bob. Good evening, contestants, families, my fellow optimists. I refer to them as my Optimist family. I've been involved with the Optimists for over 25 years. And after working with such a great organization, they become your family. Even after I'm no longer president, Bob's no longer president, Sonny I've known for years, you stay connected. You're connected with your love of helping children. And that's what the foundation is all about. The foundation has been a proud supporter of the World Oratorical Contest since its inception in 2016. And we are also very proud of the unity and the relationship between Optimist International and the foundation. So, I've always admired the commitment, the courage, and the confidence that the students competing in the oratorical contest has shown over the years. Personally, I'm part of that 75% that was scared to death to speak publicly when I was a teenager. Luckily for everybody, my career path was in the field of mathematics, so I didn't really have to do much public speaking. Now, as president of the foundation, unfortunately, they make me do more than my fair share of it. So I'm getting a little bit better, but still not quite there yet. So this is my first opportunity to actually be here at the International World Championships, and I am truly excited to see what you can do, because I think it's going to be amazing. In the past, when I have attended my own district's contest, I left that contest feeling invigorated and inspired. The talent shown by the contestants and the creativeness of their speeches were just phenomenal to me. You students are our future. And from where I stand, that future looks great, looks so bright. And I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to write your speeches and compete. And I wish you all the best of luck. Thank you.
I'm so proud of the fact that this contest has two ladies that lead us as co-directors with just a vast array of experience in public speaking, in teaching, in communications. They've authored books. They've spoken around the world, literally, training on parliamentary debate. Two just fantastic professionals in the speaking world, Dr. Diana Carlin and Dr. Sonny Fridge. Let's give them a round of applause.
Well, we're almost here at the end. I just want to say it was so nice meeting a lot of you earlier today. How many of you did get a chance to come up on this stage and maybe look around? Raise your hand. Quite a few of you, right? You got to own your stage tomorrow. And I said it last year, and I'll say it again. I'm a member of Toastmasters. Some of you know about that organization that helps others become good leaders and good speakers. And when I competed, we never got money. We never got scholarships. But what I have learned, because I still compete, and I don't always win, but one of the world champions of public speaking, David Brooks, said, you don't compete because you're the best. You become the best because you compete. And I want each of you to remember that. You become better and better. So I applaud you for having the courage, as has been said already, to come up here on stage tomorrow and give it your all and share your words, because your words have power and you have a voice that counts.
Well, good morning. Welcome to the 2023 Optimist International Oratorical World Championship. Let's give all of our contestants a round of applause. Just a couple reminders. Turn to your neighbor next to you that you know and you love and give them those kind and loving words. Please silence your cell phones. Then if you would remember, if you need to leave the room, only come in the room or exit the room when the speakers are not speaking. Sergeant at Arms will help us by watching the doors. And also remember, there's that temptation. I felt it a lot yesterday. I could have done it on every one of the speeches. There's always that temptation to want to applaud after each speech. And of course, each and every speech is worthy of applause, but resist temptation. And let's hold our applause until all the speakers have presented. At the end, we'll have an opportunity to meet the judges, all the contestants, and at that time, we can give them a great big round of applause. But until then, just resist that temptation. Are we ready to rumble? Well, let's get started. Speaker A.
Discovering the optimism within me. Optimism, a word that brings power and brings life, but often remains just a word instead of a way of life. And why? Well, we tend to equate optimism with a dream. We think of it as a blind belief in the positive and an abandonment of the imminent. But no, optimism has 20/20 vision. It sees those flaws, it knows those challenges, but it chooses to stay because it knows that that optimism, despite everything, is the only way to become what it's supposed to become. And echoed in the words of Leo Tolstoy, everybody wants to change the world, but nobody is willing to change themselves. But truly, how will we find optimism in a broken world if we cannot find it in these broken people? And in accordance with the words of Harry S. Truman, a pessimist is one who makes difficulties of their opportunities, but an optimist is one who makes opportunities of their difficulties. But unfortunately, in a world with the don't hope too much mentality, we tend to resonate more with the pessimist than we do the optimist. This was a dilemma that a man named Gideon in the Bible faced. You see, Gideon was called to save his people from an enemy army. And when doing so, he was referred to as mighty warrior. But rather than being encouraged at such a remark, Gideon shrunk within himself, because he could not comprehend the words mighty and warrior next to his name. He had gone so far in his belief that he viewed his own identity as his greatest weakness. But long story short, Gideon was victorious because in the end he discovered that he was far more than what his own mind had told him. And now, you might not know this story or believe in the Bible, but believe in the message of hope, the message of an ordinary and overlooked man finding his optimism and becoming an extraordinary leader. And even today, such a story parallels. No leader can thread mountains without confidence. No parent can raise a family without faith in that family's future. No teenager can begin to survive adolescence without an inner self-worth. And in realizing this, I started to ask myself, can I discover the optimism within me? I'm just a teenager. Well, some time ago, I had to learn how to. You see, 5 years ago, my mom started experiencing pain in her upper body. And then pain became visits to the chiropractor. And then it came to a point where easy movements was a literal struggle. And I was very young. I had to take on more household responsibilities and endure seeing my own mom in pain for nearly a year. And if I'm being honest, it took a lot more than just positive affirmations to get through that time. It took an optimism I honestly didn't even know I carried. Like Gideon, I needed to find the positive in a situation that was anything but. And I did. And my optimism not only empowered me, but it radiated onto my mom, and she too started believing she would get better. And today, she can walk, she can run, she can move comfortably because of my optimism. So ladies and gentlemen, I urge you to stop merely wishing and start hoping. Nobody said there won't be times where you'll honestly just want to walk away. But we must learn to prove the voices that put us down wrong and live in a world where the pessimist keeps moving forward, where the afraid know that even though they are crawling, at least they are still moving. And where we discover the optimism in this broken world by finding it within our broken selves first. Thank you.
Absolutely. Speaker B.
Discovering the optimism within me. Truly a daunting task. As the world grows colder, its helpless subjects become bitter and resentful towards the simple fact of existence. Several weeks ago, my closest friend comes to me in private and tells me he thinks he has what's called passive suicidal ideation. Now, my friend is not suicidal in the manner that he wants to actively end his life. However, he simply wouldn't mind if something else did it for him. Words could not describe how I felt in this moment. Because although I love this kid like a brother, I'd be lying if I said I hadn't felt this feeling before. In a world swirling with anger, hatred, and uncertainty, it's all too easy to find your head sinking below the water, which to me is subsequent proof that optimism shouldn't, nay, can't be found within the world, because the world is a variable you cannot control. Optimism must be founded, discovered, and fostered within the one variable you can, yourself. And within myself, I follow 2 rules every single day that help me discover optimism. Rule 1, don't worry about what you can't control. And rule 2, never complain. Let's get into it. Many Stoic philosophers, religious teachers, and disciplined monks all agree on the simple premise, don't worry about what you can't control. I personally follow the works of Aristotle, Epictetus, Hippocrates, many great Stoic philosophers. And the mindset that they all have in common is the simple idea of the power of the mind. Now, for lack of better words, it's simply the notion that your outcome, outlook, and output on the world is all determined up here before it's determined out there. A very true statement, but also a very scary one. Because worry has a special ability on our mind. It has the ability to allow fear, anxiety, and depression to take real estate within our minds. And with such a powerful tool harbored by such negative emotions, it can feel impossible to discover optimism. What I say to this, let it go. Vacate that real estate. Let go of the needless worry. Because if you aren't worrying for the future, you can have hope for the future. And isn't that what optimism really is? Hope for the future? Just don't worry. Let it go. For my second rule, it's going to sound a little hypocritical, but please stay with me here. Never complain. I know. We all do it. You guys do it, I do it. I promise I'm not a saint. I'm not trying to be. But I hate complaining. I hate it because the second a complaint leaves your mouth, you've taken for granted everything that has allowed you to complain. Let me give some examples. I have too much homework. No, you get to have an education. Ooh, I'm cold. Well, you still have all your fingers and toes because it's not cold enough to freeze them off. You see, the second a complaint leaves your mouth, you have insulted anyone who has it worse. And in this first world country, trust me, someone has it worse. The reason it truly irks me, though, is because every single day I see someone walking the street complaining and having their bad day today. But I know their bad day is coming. This isn't going to sound very optimistic, but it's truly realistic. Everybody has a bad day coming. Whether it be a loved one, family member, man, even a pet. Someone in your life will die, and you will truly have a bad day. But I have the ability to keep that in mind and know my bad day is coming, so I can rest assured that today is not it. Which why it makes me so mad when people are wasting their good days complaining when they have a bad day coming. So with these two super simple rules of not worrying about the future and having hope for the future, and not complaining, keeping in mind that your bad day is coming, and resting assured that today is not it, anyone can discover optimism. Thank you.
Speaker C.
Today, I will be sharing my personal journey on the topic discovering the optimism within me. When balancing the massive changes of entering high school with the uncertainty of the COVID-19 pandemic, the negativity began to outweigh the optimism within me. I know this may come as a surprise as you see me standing here today, but at that time, I was diagnosed with severe anxiety. Now, as a business club leader and theater kid, I have often been told I do not look like someone who has anxiety. But that's the thing about anxiety or depression. Anyone can suffer from it, regardless of what they look like on the outside. The first time I had a panic attack, I was watching a movie with my family where the main character passed away. Vividly, I can recall the feeling of my stomach clenching, face overheating, hyperventilating, choking on tears. Later, I found out that one of the primary triggers of my anxiety was chronophobia, a fear of the passage of time. I was absolutely terrified of the lack of control I had over my loved one's passing and the uncertainty of life after death. After losing multiple family members in a short period of time, I was afraid of losing more. I was so worried and focused on things outside of my control that I couldn't see the joy in front of me. At my worst, I was having a minimum of 1 panic attack per week. From there, I began my long and difficult journey with anxiety and therapy. It definitely was not an instant change, but with the support of my family, friends, and teammates, I was able to discover the optimism within me. So, how did I do it? My journey began with one word: potential. I realized that regardless of how much time we have, we all have the potential to grow into who we want to be. Each day we can make a positive difference in the lives of those around us because we can choose to take action. Nothing is set in stone. Even if the worst thing you can imagine happens today, time doesn't stop and tomorrow is a new beginning. That used to terrify me, but now I use it as fuel to make the most of the time I do have. My optimism progressed and continues to grow through my service work. With over 200 hours of volunteering in high school, as well as coordinating dozens of community service events, I have had the opportunity to support a wide variety of groups. These vary from community events to nonprofit fundraisers to school activities. Witnessing each group come together to achieve a common goal inspires me to be a part of that positive difference. One group that has impacted me is the Mackenzie Family Boys and Girls Club. For months, I was on a committee to plan a movie night fundraiser for the organization, and in the end, we raised $9,000. I was moved by the families we were supporting and the impact of my volunteer work. That potential for change, for my actions bettering my community, inspires the optimism within me. It's an exciting, wonderful thing to think about. I have the ability to make a positive difference. I can succeed and choose to do better each day. With the potential of my community at the forefront of my mind, it is easy to see the goodness in the world around me and be grateful for the amazing people in my life. With my optimism, I will continue to be an active leader in my community, helping to address issues I am passionate about, especially mental health awareness. When someone has a physical illness, they share and receive support from family, friends, and coworkers. Yet the stigma surrounding mental health convinces those who suffer that they are alone. Integrating kindergarten through 12th grade mental health education, as well as increasing staff training on support, will help change this mindset. In college, I plan to join groups focused on mental health education and awareness to continue being a part of this mission for change. We can help tomorrow's youth discover their own optimism and live a happy and healthy life. I have faith that my optimism and hopeful outlook will continue to grow with time. Yes, life is hard, and we all face unique challenges, but that does not mean that we cannot focus on the good that we can do for others. Discovering the optimism within me means choosing to see potential, not ticking clocks. I challenge you to do the same.
Speaker D.
I don't remember discovering the optimism within me. From a very young age, I've held an instinctive connection with optimism. I mean, it's hard to discover something that's really always been there. It's almost as if it were a seed, planted within me, growing and developing as I've done the same. Its presence has given birth to many joys and comforts in my life, nourishing my innocent youth. Well, it's even helped shape my personality, developing positive characteristics within me that I then exude upon other people. These characteristics are who I am. They define me at my best and especially at my worst. Now, growing up, my defining characteristics were not those of the typical kid. This has allowed me to view the world from a different perspective. I've been able to take situations of discourse and find common ground, acting from a neutral standpoint and providing a sense of peace for both sides. My optimism has acted like a shield, allowing me to endure the misfortunes and to come out the other side with the same smile on my face that I went in with. Optimism has been a perpetuating light in my life, remaining lit no matter what has come my way. But then I got older. In spite of my connection with optimism that had come so naturally, I found myself battling with feelings such as doubt, anxiety, fear, hate. As I've gotten older, I've learned to hate. In the world we live in today, hate is such an easy emotion to express. Sometimes, well, it's even easier than love. For example, man, do I hate running. When I run, it doesn't take long for my breath to cut short, my chest gets heavy and my heart starts beating faster and faster. I'm so aware of my legs and how they're moving, but I'm not going where I want to go. I am not moving fast enough. There are a million reasons why I hate running and should have no interest in doing it again. So, I joined the track team. I joined a team dedicated to running so that I can get better. Now, look, I'm not a sports person. I don't even watch football like that. But I've realized something. I've realized that the more that you run, the more it gets better. Last year, I was told I'd be moving schools. It was a decision I had no say in, and it completely changed my life. I had friends at my school, a family that I had built since the 2nd grade. I didn't want to leave them. I didn't want to abandon the roots that I had planted and allowed to grow in healthy soil. So I sat and I thought about what was going to happen, how I was going to be taken away from my home. But then I began to feel something unexpected. I felt excitement. I was excited about the new opportunities coming my way. The 26th President of the United States, Theodore Roosevelt, once stated, "Do what you can with what you have, where you are." I was going to a new school. That fact, it wasn't changing. But what I do with that fact is something that I can change. Just the other day, I was stressing over an essay I had to write. An essay. It was long and boring, and I could not for the life of me figure out what to write. So, instead of getting angry and allowing my frustration to build, I took a second. I thought about what I had, where I was, and what I could do about it. So, I did what I could with what I had where I was. Because sometimes, well, that's all you can do. Since my days of tag on the playground and seeing the best in everyone have ended, I've learned to hate. I hate writing essays. I hate having to move schools. I hate running. But I love getting good grades. I love making new friends, and I love getting better. What I've discovered about the optimism within me isn't that it's something that needs to be found or learned. It is simply a choice that you make. Thank you.
Speaker E.
Discovering the optimism within me. How much money do you think America spends on end-of-life healthcare each year? 10 million? 10 billion? No, $365 billion each year. You could buy all the Chick-fil-A's in the world, not once, but 135 times with that much money. In the medical world, 25% of all healthcare spending happens in the last year of people's lives. Now, why is that? Why spend so much money right before the inevitable? Hope, love, and optimism. That's why. Personally witnessing my uncle struggling courageously through the various stages of cancer inspired me to discover the optimism within myself. I will be looking at optimism through the lens of the 3 steps of his medical journey: diagnosis, treatment, and cure. In May of 2022, my uncle's life was flipped upside down. He was diagnosed with stomach cancer. At first, I was shocked because I just couldn't imagine him with cancer. He always made up the most interesting games and took me on hikes and adventures. He's an amazing teacher who blesses many people's lives with his humor, knowledge, and passion. Those are definitely not things I associate with cancer. Hard things are easy for us to deny because we simply don't like them. Like when you for sure failed a test, so you just don't check Power School, because if you don't check Power School, who's to say it even happened? The diagnosing stage of our problems requires an honest and positive look at what our futures will hold, even with its hardships. As you move into the next stage, it's important to keep the positives in mind, because at the time of diagnosis, you don't know what the whole situation is. So you have to step back and look at your future in a relaxed way. My uncle started his treatment plan of doing chemo over the summer in the hopes of destroying his cancer before school started back. Having cancer is like having millions of microscopic people in your body raging a battle to the death against your organs. But even in those hard hours, he was fighting it so strongly. To support him, I decided to write him and his family a letter and did watercolor art on the cards. Even though it looked like a 5-year-old ate too many meatballs and threw up on the paper, he wrote back saying that he was so touched. He wrote me my own story called The Artsmith of Avenel. He made my family into fictional characters in this quaint little village. When my character painted things with watercolors, they would come to life the next day. I really admire that even in his hardest moments, he was able to find what he loved to do, and he fed that joy to keep going. Like his cancer, many things in our lives we will have to endure to get to a better outcome. I like to call this the treatment stage, when you actually face your problems, like studying for a test, being sick, or a stressful sports game. It's vital to find reasons for joy, even in moments of sorrow, to make sure that the negative doesn't swallow the good. We could see the sunlight peeking over the darkness. We got news that his chemo worked. He was getting better, and soon he would break free from the chains of cancer. He still had to go for follow-ups, and had scars that couldn't be erased. But through his trials, I found that optimism may not have cured his cancer, but it definitely transformed how he experienced it. Our whole family was overjoyed that he beat cancer. In celebration, he wanted to go to New York City for Christmas with his family and ours. I was so excited when my parents told me we were going, and it ended up being just as magical as I thought it was going to be. Even though his cancer was not a good way to spend the year, he ended out with a bang because of the optimism he held throughout. Making it to the other side of something you thought you couldn't survive gives you hope for the future. My uncle's journey taught me a valuable lesson about overcoming your difficulties to find the optimism deep within. When you first come upon a struggle, you have to diagnose what you're going through and look hopefully at your future. Then, in the treatment stage, you need to take action with those positive thoughts. Finally, once you've reached the end and overcome your struggle, you've brought healing to your negativity with positivity. Optimism can cure. It takes courage, and it really helps to have someone who successfully battled through to the other side. But finding optimism is essential and can even be the difference between how you experience life and death. Thank you.
Speaker F.
Discovering the optimism within me. Picture this. You're a preschooler sitting down to watch Barney, and your 5 older brothers, who are old enough to know better, they stop you, and they say, "Why are you watching Barney when you could be watching the iconic big screen adaptation of J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings? A PG-13 movie with orcs and stabbing that's totally suitable for you, a 4-year-old. Now, fast forward 10 years, and you're still watching Lord of the Rings. And for the 13th time, you hear Sam Gamgee say that there's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo, and it's worth fighting for. And for the first time, you really believe it. Or you're listening to your dad tell stories from his childhood in the Philippines, dirt poor with 9 siblings and a dog in a 2-bedroom apartment, and you think, if he can overcome that, I can get through my chemistry class. Or you're just reading a good book, and that good book puts things in perspective and makes you realize that your life is actually pretty good. That's my story. And isn't that fascinating? The stories we take in become our own. Today I'll be talking about how we should focus on the good stories. Why? Because I discovered the optimism within me by looking at the optimism around me. First, why does it matter what sort of stories we take in? Now, people like to think that it's not really important what you read or watch or listen to. It's just books, it's just TV, it's just fiction, it's not important. But what we take in is what we become. As an old proverb goes, tell me what you read, and I'll tell you who you are. I used to relax by watching political commentators, and they would take the worst of the other side and criticize just that. I ate this up. But it never actually made me relax. In fact, it just riled me up. It made me feel like I was doing something right when all I was doing was getting more angry and less productive. And I see this everywhere. I know people who watch the news religiously, and they always seem just a little angry, argumentative, sometimes basing their whole personality around politics and all the things that are wrong. Isn't that such a sad way to live? And the reason that's all they talk about is because that's all they hear. But don't worry, the inverse is also true. On the days that I spend my free time reading a good book instead of browsing angry YouTube videos, my hope and productivity shoot up, because the stories I take in become a part of me. And that's why we need good stories. So, what are good stories? Well, let me start by telling you what they're not. Good stories are not stories with no bad things. They're not children's books with little conflict and few problems. Good stories are like Lord of the Rings, or the Wingfeather Saga, or Les Miserables. One of my current favorites is the Bible. Spoiler alert, Jesus comes back. There is pain, there is consequences, there is death and destruction, but there is light. And there's this underlying idea that good things happen to good people. When you're looking for a good story, look for the stories that have a happy ending for the good guys. There are some books that I used to love when I was younger until I realized just what they were teaching. Because those books said that in the real world, bad things happen to good people, and the story ends that way. Now, it's true that bad things happen to good people. But that's not how the story ends. It's true that life can be unfair. Sometimes good people get hurt, really hurt, but that's not how the story ends. As optimists, we have to believe that. I discover the optimism within me by looking at the optimism around me. Be it watching Lord of the Rings for the 25th time, listening to my dad talk about his childhood, or just reading a good book that my friend recommended, that's what keeps me hoping. That's what keeps us all hoping. What you consume will make or break your optimism. So treat it like that. Bad things will happen to you, but if you've read the right books, then you know that's not how the story ends. Thank you.
Speaker G.
When I heard the topic, discovering the optimism within me, I stopped and thought, I'm a pessimist. In fact, my parents call me the most painstaking, pessimistic pessimist to ever suffer from passionate pessimism. Perfect. I used to think that I earned the right to be pessimistic given everything I've been through. I spent all my time hating school, hating the people around me, hating myself. Essentially, I hated the world. I was a 24/7 Grinch until I realized that I'd had enough. While I wish it hadn't taken me 16 years to understand that pessimism wasn't helping my problems, I'm glad I eventually did. Let me tell you that discovering the optimism in a person who has a heart 2 sizes too small is no easy feat, but hey, the first step to change is admitting you have a problem, right? So let's go through my 3-step plan to overcoming my grinchiness and becoming the most powerful optimist the world has ever seen. And maybe you'll learn a thing or two along the way. First, we'll travel down from our house in the mountains, head down to Whoville, and find out what makes me want to be a pessimist. Now, I'm not going to stand up here and give you a list of all the bad things that have happened to me because, frankly, that has nothing to do with the point I'm trying to make. But according to psychology today, pessimism develops as a way to cope with bad external forces, like abuse, injuries, bad breakups, etc. So essentially, those bad things that I'm not going to mention could be the reason I look at the world like it's a rotting apple. But the Berkeley Wellbeing Institute states that pessimism could also be genetic. So maybe I have my mother to blame for this glass half empty and evaporating as we speak mindset. But if we think about it, wouldn't blaming other things that I have no control over still be pessimistic? At the end of the day, I have no one to blame but myself. So how do I fix that? In order to find my inner optimist, next we need to meet up with Cindy Lou Who and see how I can be more optimistic in my daily life. According to teenhealth.org, to be optimistic, you need to practice 6 things. So now is the time for something I like to call the anti-pessimism speed run. Notice good things as they happen. I'm doing pretty good with this speech. Train your mind to believe you can make good things happen. I can keep doing good with this speech. Don't blame yourself when things go wrong. It's not my fault if I forget the next sentence. When good things happen, give yourself credit. I remembered this sentence. Go me. Remind yourself that setbacks are temporary, just like my pessimism. Notice how people talk about themselves. I think I'll try that one later. I'm feeling more optimistic already. The world is perfect and absolutely nothing can go wrong. I think this is the part in the speech where things go wrong. Okay, so maybe wrong isn't the right word, but this is the part in the speech where things get serious. Because my 3rd step to optimism requires my heart to grow. And to do that, I need to face the truth. We've had fun so far, but let's get down to business. I've learned that constant pessimism isn't the solution to my problems, but neither is mindless optimism. Ron Siegel, assistant professor of psychology at Harvard Medical School, states that positive psychology is not about denying the difficult emotions. It's about opening to what is happening here and now and cultivating and savoring the good in your life. If you say that you are always optimistic, you are one of 2 things: a liar or just as bad as a pessimist. Mindless optimism can lead to just as many problems as mindless pessimism. It's important to address both the good and the bad in the world in order to stay true to yourself. Blue Horizon Counseling refers to mindless optimism as toxic positivity. Toxic positivity dismisses the reality of a situation. It can fail to value the diversity of human experience, the use of mindless platitudes like, don't worry, it'll work out, or everything will be fine. Optimism doesn't just mean we ignore the bad. We have to be willing to see it and accept it. You are not a pessimist for seeing that you're struggling because, frankly, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to feel like the world is closing in on you because that's not what makes you a pessimist. How you deal with those emotions is what decides that. Instead of sitting in bed all day wallowing in self-pity, optimism is acknowledging that maybe not all problems can be fixed with a simple, everything will work out. Optimism is reaching out to your friends and family for help, giving yourself some affirmations, or doing something you love. Optimism is seeing the bad, accepting it, and working through it. So maybe my statement at the beginning of the speech was wrong. I'm not a pessimist. I'm not the most powerful optimist the world has ever seen, but I don't have a heart 2 sizes too small, and I can see the good in the world. I see the good in the people who I pass in the hallway during school. I see the good in my friends who might be struggling. I see the good in you, and I see the good in me. But most importantly, I see the good in the Grinch at the top of the mountain who maybe just hasn't found the optimism within himself yet.
Okay, are you ready to go then, Speaker H?
Yeah, I'm ready. So
Okay. You may begin.
À la découverte de l'optimisme en moi. Lorsque j'ai découvert le thème de cette année, je me suis tout de suite mise à brainstormer, faire une tempête d'idées, comme on dit en français. Et c'est d'ailleurs à ce moment que j'ai véritablement compris pourquoi cette traduction, qui m'a paru un peu amusante au premier abord, ne pouvait pas être plus exacte. Les idées passaient, partaient, revenaient, dansaient, virevoltaient, sautaient. Elles faisaient des bonds dans ma tête, mais sans jamais sauter assez haut pour pouvoir se démarquer. Rien ne paraissait à la hauteur. La tempête faisait rager, les tourbillons d'idées rendaient ma visibilité presque nulle. Vous savez, ça m'a fait penser à ces boules à neige qui impressionnent les enfants. Quand on les secoue et que la neige, formant alors un impressionnant désordre, fait battre notre petit cœur et imprime un sourire sur nos lèvres. C'est le plus fascinant, c'est que quelques secondes plus tard, cette neige retombe avec une harmonie parfaite. Tout reprend sa place, comme par magie. Le parallèle ne pourrait pas être plus évident. La boule, c'est ma tête, et la neige, mes idées. J'ai donc attendu patiemment que le ciel se libère, comme je faisais avec la neige quand je n'étais qu'une petite fille, pleine d'admiration, d'espoir, d'optimisme. Plusieurs disent qu'ils découvrent l'optimisme en eux dans les moments difficiles, dans les tempêtes. Dans mon cas, ça a été l'inverse. C'est avant tout l'optimisme qui m'a découvert. Il s'est infiltré en moi. Il a exploré mes entrailles jusqu'à prendre possession de chacune des petites choses qui me composent. Il a fait des promenades et découvert mon corps en déambulant, balade après balade, chaque jour avec l'espoir d'apercevoir une nouvelle destination. Et c'est après plusieurs années d'exploration que l'optimisme a enfin fait sa première escale. Dans mes yeux, il m'a fait voir la vie d'une toute autre manière. Il encerclait l'espoir, encadrait les sourires, pointait les fous rires, soulignait les belles choses, surlignait le positif. Il écartait les malheurs, les pleurs et les erreurs avec une délicatesse qui me permettait d'en prendre conscience sans jamais vouloir voler la vedette à ce qui avait de l'importance. D'abord, il m'a aidé, comme une enfant qui apprend à faire du vélo. Puis peu à peu, il m'a laissé pédaler seule. Et je me suis mise à voir par moi-même toute la couleur qu'il avait mise dans mes yeux. Il a ensuite suivi la belle rivière que forment les larmes qui perlent au coin de l'œil et puis a accosté pour sa seconde escale. Au coin de ma bouche, il m'a fait sourire, m'a fait rire. Il baissait, augmentait le volume, mettait le négatif en sourdine. Il choisissait pour moi des mots gentils, positifs, drôles, réconfortants, pleins d'ambition. Il influençait aussi bien mes phrases que mes silences, et c'est dans ces silences que j'ai compris que peu importe ce que je disais, mes paroles étaient et resteraient teintées de sa présence. Une fois la visite de mon visage achevée, l'optimisme est descendu le long de mon cou, a tracé la courbe de mes épaules, s'est laissé descendre le long de mes bras avant de s'infiltrer dans les lignes de mes mains et d'atteindre enfin le bout de mes doigts. Il s'y est posé tel un capitaine à la proue de son bateau les jours de tempête. Il maniait le gouvernail avec aisance, zigzagant entre les courants malveillants et les dangereux massifs rocheux. Toutes mes actions étaient guidées par ce capitaine à l'avant du navire. Il faisait sans cesse les bons choix et rattrapait les conséquences des moins bons pour m'éviter de faire naufrage. Et moi, comme une enfant, j'observais et j'apprenais les procédures à suivre pour éviter de couler. Et puis un jour, j'ai eu assez d'expérience pour prendre la barre et naviguer seule au milieu de l'océan, qu'il soit calme ou déchaîné. Et c'est ce moment qu'a choisi l'optimisme pour partir vers des endroits encore inexplorés. Chaque jour, je l'entends marcher et je sais que jamais ses pieds n'arrêteront d'avancer. Lao Tzu, un philosophe chinois, a dit un jour que le sage peut découvrir le monde sans franchir sa porte. Je n'ai pas eu à partir à la recherche des merveilles qui façonnent notre monde pour faire une découverte. Non. En fait, je n'ai seulement eu qu'à me regarder dans le miroir et tracer ce qui me compose. J'ai exploré mon monde, de la tête aux pieds. Tout ça pour essayer de découvrir une chose qui était déjà en moi. L'optimisme. Merci, thank you.
Hey, Speaker I, can you still hear us?
Yes, I can.
And are you ready?
Yes.
You may proceed. Speaker I.
Discovering the optimism within me. A warm regards to you all. Dear audience, today, through my words, let me take you on a journey. A journey to discover the optimism within ourselves. I shall take you way back in time to Mahabharata and the time of the great titan Kurnos so that you can discover the optimism within yourself. The word optimism means being hopeful and confident about something. It is the power that we all have within ourselves that provides us with the ability to see a disappointing situation as an opportunity. There's a poem by Emily Dickinson entitled Hope is a Thing with Feathers. I've heard it in the chilliest lands and on the strangest seas, yet never in extremity it asks a crumb of me. Hope and optimism have given us so much and yet never asked anything in return. Humanity has survived countless wars, plagues, and natural disasters, and yet it is still thriving. Taking an example of our own holy book Mahabharata, Duryodhan had kept the developed kingdom of Hastinapur for himself and gave the Pandavas the barren, arid, and hostile lands of Khandavprastha, which they managed to turn into a beautiful, lavish city that is comparable to heavens itself, which was then named Indraprastha. They were only able to do this as they had discovered the hope and optimism within themselves. Hence, optimism can be considered as the willingness to commit into never giving up. You see, life is not always easy. At some point in our lives, we all face situations that make it hard for us to stay positive. But by cultivating a positive mindset, we can easily overcome these obstacles. So, how can we discover the optimism within ourselves? How did I discover the optimism within myself? The first step is realizing that it is a choice. We can either choose to focus on the negative aspects of our lives, or we can choose to focus on the positive. Growing up, many times I also had a hard time maintaining a positive mindset. As a person who previously suffered from social anxiety, discovering the optimism within me has been an uphill battle many times, especially as a teen who lost the early years of her adolescence to lockdown due to COVID 19. I took a liking to self help books as they taught me things that no one else would. And there's one thing that Shiv Khera has written in the book You Can Win. Success is not measured by how high we go in life. It is measured by how many times we bounce back when we fall. And where do we get the strength to bounce back when we fall? We get it through optimism within ourselves. And not only You Can Win, several other books like Think and Grow Rich and The Teen's Guide to World Domination talk about the power of positive thinking. Another key to discovering the optimism within ourselves is to embrace failure. It is easy to feel discouraged when you fail at something, but by reframing our failures as opportunities for growth and learning, we can turn them into valuable life experiences that can help us to succeed. Practicing gratitude and surrounding myself with people who support me earnestly has been a crucial step in discovering the optimism within me. Cornus had swallowed his children, praying that they might dethrone him. But Zeus, his youngest son, made him disgorge the children he had swallowed, and the siblings together dethroned and imprisoned him in Tartarus. They were only able to go against their Almighty Father as they had discovered the hope and optimism within themselves. The perfect example of discovering the optimism within me is this speech itself. Because rather than thinking, I might mess this up and I can't do it, I'm focusing on the positive impacts the speech will make. Let's talk about Steve Harvey that we all know and love. Harvey had a severe stuttering problem which he eventually overcame. When he wrote that he wanted to be on TV, his teacher reprimanded him for it, saying that it was unbelievable. But now he's on TV 7 days of the week and hosts multiple TV shows. He was only able to do this by discovering the optimism within himself. Now, discovering the optimism doesn't mean seeing the world through rose-colored glasses, because sometimes pessimism prepares us for the worst. And as the Arabic proverb said, sunshine all the time makes a desert, storms make roots deepen, and rain brings growth. Optimism doesn't prepare us for failure, but not a single person is successful without failing. We cannot rise without falling. Not a negative attitude, just a little alternative plan. Dear audience, we have come to the end of the journey that I promised you. So at last, I would like to say that the darkest objects in the universe, black holes, emit the brightest lights called quasars from within its core. So we can also make a choice. to discover the optimism within ourselves every day. I did it, and I have no doubt that you can do it too. Thank you.
Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we can actually give all of our contestants a great big round of applause. And I'd like to invite all the contestants here up on the stage, and contestant H and contestant I, we would like to have you turn your cameras back on. I'd like to have everyone that's here come on up on the stage, and we're going to let you speak to us a little bit, reintroduce yourself. Some of the folks have not met you yet. Tell a little bit about yourself, tell a little bit about your educational plans, who your supporters are, and just have a little fun. Tell us what your favorite book or movie is as well. Okay? And so you want to think a second? Are you ready to go? Here's our speaker A.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Deborah Coco. I'm from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. I'm 16 years old, and I'm contemplating going into business and computer science. My favorite book would be a book I'm currently reading. It's called Mary, Queen of Scots. I love history-based books. It's very interesting. It's very amazing. I recommend it. And I'm just really grateful to be here, to be standing in front of you all and sharing my message to the world. I want to thank Optimist International, and I want to thank my debate teacher back home, who is Mr. Bracken. He introduced me to this opportunity, and I'm really glad he did because I've learned so much from it. I've grown in confidence, I've grown in vocals, and I've grown in so many different ways. And I'm just really happy to be here. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ty Whitman. I'm hailing from Las Vegas, Nevada, and I am a recently graduated senior going to Mars Hill University in North Carolina on a swim scholarship as well as academic, and I'm going for biomedical. So the people I'd like to thank would definitely be my dad for bringing me, my mom who's definitely watching, and my speech and debate coach for giving me this as an extra credit assignment, and it took me this far, and that's great. My favorite movie would definitely be Rango, and my favorite book series would be a novel called Pendragon. It's very abstract. Not many people know about it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lily Breyer, and I'm from Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. I just graduated high school, and I will be going to the University of Wisconsin-Madison to study data science and business. I want to start by giving a huge shout out to my parents, who are amazingly wonderful and made this trip with me, regardless of whatever it's been. They've helped bounce ideas off of me, listen to my speeches, helped bring me to this point. I'm so grateful for them. And also the Sun Prairie Optimist Club, as well as the Southern Wisconsin District. I wouldn't be here without you guys. My favorite book, this is very hard for me, or anyone who knows me, because I read literally 101 books last year, but I would have to go with The Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. It's a very good series. You should read it if you haven't.
All right. Hi. My name is Shad McMillan. That's Shad with an S. I'm from Carrollton, Georgia, near Atlanta. I'm 17 years old, and I'm going into my senior year of high school. Plans after high school, I would love to go to a four-year college. I'm currently looking at Yale. I've been very interested in engineering, aerospace engineering specifically. A lot of you probably know how hard that is. It's literally rocket science. But anyways, I'm so happy to be here, so blessed to be here. This is really amazing. I'm really excited. I want to thank everyone at home. I want to thank my mom for supporting me through this whole thing, my family, thank my peers at home. I want to thank my beloved, absolutely good-looking, fantastic speech and debate coach, Richard Bracknell, sitting right over there in the yellow shirt. You can go and thank him. Anyways, as far as my favorite book or TV show, this is a hard question for me because I watch a lot of TV and I read a lot of books. So I'm gonna have to say Percy Jackson. I love Percy Jackson and I read it like in middle school. It was really great. Anyways, thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Smith Galvin and I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm 14 years old and I will be attending my freshman year in high school next year. I'm so happy to be here. It's such a blessing. I'd like to thank my mom for flying out with me, all my friends and family watching, and my speech coach, Miss Ellen Bosch, and my ELA teacher, Mrs. Cook. And I'd like to give a special thank you to my uncle, who is my inspiration to my speech and who I would not be who I am today. My favorite movie, probably Top Gun Maverick. I don't know, I just love that movie.
Hi everyone, my name is Mary Kravana. I just graduated high school. I'm planning to attend a local liberal arts university called the University of Dallas, and after that I'll probably become a stay-home mom. I'd like to thank both of my parents for going above and beyond and raising 6 kids and also getting them to all of these awesome opportunities like the Optimist International. What was the next thing? Movie. Right. Oh, wait. Oh, other person I wanted to thank was, sorry, I forgot about this. First of all of my older brothers for always being there for me and introducing me to Lord of the Rings at 4. And then lastly, to the Fort Worth Breakfast Optimist Club. I think I got the order of those words right. That's my local club, and they've just been so kind to me with helping me get here. And then favorite book or movie, you're never going to guess it, it's Lord of the Rings. So yeah.
Hello, I'm Sav Jordan. I'm from Raymore, Missouri, not too far from here. I am 17. I'm going in my senior year of high school at Ray Peck High School. I'd like to thank my parents and my 2 little brothers for always coming to events, theater stuff, speech stuff, too much. I'd also like to thank my theater teachers for making this a required assignment because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. And my favorite movie would have to be The Prince and the Frog, and my favorite book would be the Selection series by Kira Cass.
Well, excellent job. I'm going to see, can we get H and I, Speaker H and I, back on the screen? We'd like to talk to them. Here we go. We have Speaker H. Could you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your future plans as far as education. Thank those that have supported you, and also perhaps tell us your favorite book or movie.
Hi, so good morning, everyone. I will try in English. So I'm Sarah Claude Simard, and I'm from Quebec. I'm 17 years old, and later in life, I would like to become an astrophysicist. And currently, my favorite book and movie is called The Martian, I think in English, like Seul sur Mars, The Martian. That's it.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you. So we have 2 rocket scientists here. So, Speaker I, if you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your future educational plans. Thank whoever you would like who has supported you, and then maybe tell us your favorite book or movie.
Yes, okay. So good morning to you all and good evening to people in different time zones. And so I have to start off with a quote from Taylor Swift's song. I've never been a natural, all I do is try. And so that would be my favorite song. And as for study plans, I plan to be an entrepreneur. And so I plan on taking computer science and maybe be a part-time writer and take up writing. And as an avid reader, it's really hard to choose a good book for me, but I think for now, it would be Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen.
Very good selection. Okay. And where are you speaking from? Tell us where you're speaking from.
Yes, I'm speaking from Kathmandu, Nepal. It's in Asia.
Well, yes. Well, fantastic. So we have Quebec and we have Nepal live with us, and it's wonderful that you could join us. I would like to introduce our Canadian Children's Optimist Foundation president and the timekeeper for the finals, Anne Richer Doyle, who is from Ottawa, Ontario. So, Anne, if you'd like to make a couple comments at this time.
I would certainly love to do this. What a pleasure it is to be here with all of the district oratorical champions, Optimist members, families, family and friends. Your speeches never cease to amaze me. You have moved me. You have made me think and laugh, and I can only thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm really proud to represent the Canadian Children's Optimist Foundation. The foundation is thankful to all of its generous donors who contribute to the success of this successful scholarship program. At the CCOF, we believe that investing today for the future of our youth by creating opportunities that will enhance the quality of life, improve health and wellness, and ultimately inspire youth. On behalf of everyone at the foundation, I wish to all participants the best of luck. Et en français, je voudrais vous dire qu'à la Fondation Optimiste des enfants canadiens, nous sommes fiers d'investir aujourd'hui pour l'avenir de nos jeunes, en recherchant et en gérant des fonds, en collaboration avec les clubs optimistes canadiens et les communautés. Et c'est ainsi que nous pouvons aider les clubs à créer des opportunités qui vont améliorer la qualité de la vie, la santé et le bien-être, et surtout d'inspirer nos jeunes. So good luck, everyone. You've done amazing with your speeches, and I'm moved like you would not believe. And best of luck in your future endeavors. I'm sure that you will all be very successful.
Thank you, Anne. Merci beaucoup. Thank you. We have one of our judges that's here in person. I think you're another Anne. Is that correct? Come on up and tell us just a little bit about yourself, and thank you so much for judging.
Oh, hi, my name is Anne-Sophie Blanc. I've been teaching French in St. Louis since 1986, so I'm no spring chick. I love French, and my in-laws are Canadian, so my husband was Canadian. Spoke English, and I have a son now who is a student at McGill University and does his dissertation in music composition. So I have good ties with Canada. I was very impressed with all the kids, and it was really hard to, find a rank, but I hope I did a good job.
Sure you did.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And as most of you have heard, I'm a judge in my daily life, and I'm glad I'm not judging this. This is a lot harder than what I do. Do we have some of our other judges on at this point? Well, unfortunately, we can't see you, but if you could go ahead and introduce yourself. You're speaking to the contestants and to all of their families and supporters and the audience, so you can proceed.
Okay, thank you. Hi, bonjour. My name is Jennifer Robinson. I am in Wichita, Kansas, and my first year to participate after many attempts by Dr. Harlan. And it really was a pleasure today to see all of you and listen to you. I'm a high school French teacher, and you really inspire me. I spend my days with young people like you, and just really excited for you. It was very difficult, as the other judge said, but it was an amazing experience for me, and I hope to be back. Bonne chance et bonne continuation. Good luck, and happy journeys. Thanks.
Thank you for judging. Let's give her a round of applause. So I see Judge 1, if you would be so kind as to introduce yourself and speak to the contestants in the audience.
Hello, my name is Pascal Perraudin. I'm Associate Professor of French at St. Louis University. It was my pleasure to listen to all the contestants, and it was very inspiring. So thank you.
Thank you so much for judging. We appreciate it. Judge 2.
Good morning. I think is it still morning for you there? No. Good afternoon then. My name is Claude Chenier. I live in Ottawa, Canada, the great capital. And first of all, I just want to congratulate all the contestants. It was absolutely, what's the word I can find? I can just say, I guess, fantastic for now. It's my second year doing this, and I must admit it's always a great pleasure to participate. So thank you very much for inviting me again.
Well, thank you so much for judging. We sure appreciate it. And Judge 4, I think I recognize you. Would you be so kind as to introduce yourself?
Yes, good morning. I'm a judge in real life, and I have the pleasure of working with Judge Bruns on the Kansas Court of Appeals. And I think judging in real life is easier than what we had to judge today. Congratulations to all of you. It was a very close contest in my estimation, and you all did so well. I just thank you for sharing your personal stories and background and history and making the topic so relevant and so personal. So you are inspiring, and thank you all very much.
Well, thank you, Catherine, and get back to work.
Will do.
And do we have a judge 5? Were there 5 judges? 4? Okay, so we've met all the judges now. We did it out of order. So I keep getting texts that say that we're almost ready here. So I don't know, President Bob, have you heard from them yet? In the back room? They haven't given you the envelope yet? This is a lot like real life judging in that we wait for juries to deliberate and return, and it's like, that's always the worst time. And Cheryl, what I would appreciate if you would mind, I know you did it last year, would you mind just telling about some of the other programs that we offer? Because I know there are a few people who are asking about, right as we're doing this, we're also having the Optimist International Junior Golf Tournament at Durrell. So you might share a few of the other things that the contestants can do and others.
Why, thank you. He's going to regret this, giving me the mic. So we do right now have a pretty significant junior golf tournament happening. As far as the Optimist, our mission is by providing hope and positive vision, we bring out the best in youth, our communities, and ourselves, right? So the programs that we offer tend to do those things. So currently, our Optimist International Junior Golf Championship is happening. We will welcome 615 youth golfers from 30, if I remember correctly, 37 countries between last week and this week to Miami, Florida. And they will compete in that tournament. Our junior golf program also has another tournament in November, the Tournament of Champions. One of the things I did want to chat with you all about, though, is about Junior Optimist International, JOY. You've probably heard that term a couple of times, JOY. And that is our program for young people, starting in elementary school and even up through high school, maybe even beyond at some point, to give you the opportunity to expand your leadership skills and community service opportunities. Those are clubs that are based in schools and communities where people can get involved, young people can get involved and do some of the great work, and especially bring the messages that you've all talked about today into your communities. Additionally, we're going to be launching piloting a program this fall, bringing Optimist clubs into schools and working directly with schools to help meet the needs of young people, because every school has a need, for assistance, and we know that, especially listening to these students and understanding the impact that the pandemic has had on young people. So we're going to be working with our Optimist clubs to go into schools directly and offer some assistance there. But really, our organization is extremely community-based. We have community clubs in over 2,000 communities through the US, Canada, the Caribbean, Nepal, and other countries. So there's an incredible opportunity for anybody who says, hey, this thing sounds kind of cool and I'd like to get involved with that. Don't leave without letting me know, because we'd certainly love to get you involved in Optimist at any level that you would like. Yeah, anything else I can chat about? Oh. Well, I'd like to have her in the room. We do have an incredible team. We are based here in St. Louis. A small but mighty, incredible team that works here. I'd love to introduce you to the senior director of this program in particular, and we're going to go fetch her. But we also have, again, an Optimist Institute. That's something new that we launched this past year. That is leadership development, opportunities for members, and soon to be other people as well. We'll be able to get involved in that. And so we have our staff team over there. Say hi. They don't want to say hi. We have over 50,000 members around the world, and we have a small little staff team of about 22 people who support those 50,000 members, and they do a heck of a job, so we're really grateful to have them. And we're also really grateful to have these foundations that support the work that we do. We have an incredible foundation here in St. Louis, the Optimist International Foundation, and as you just heard from Anne, we also have a Canadian foundation that supports the work of the clubs, but also supports the student programs we have. So all of the scholarships that get handed out are from those foundations, and they do the fundraising to make those happen year after year. It looks like we actually even might have the results coming in, but I do want to put her on the spot and just thank Amy Keller, who's our Senior Director of International Programs. If you are in this contest, you received an email from Amy, probably multiples, but she's the one who puts all of this together. Let's give her a hand. You can tell she loves the spotlight. Okay, I'm going to pass it back to you because I think we're just about ready.
So it looks to me, Mr. Jury Foreman, is the verdict in. The jury has reached a verdict, so let's have a round of applause for that. So I'd like to invite our Optimist International Foundation president to come forward, and the president of Optimist International, and I said the president of, she's still with us, the president of the Canadian Optimist Children's Foundation is with us as well, and we're going to announce the winners. So I don't know, you two probably want to come up here, and they've heard enough of me, so President Bob, I'm going to turn the mic over to you.
Thank you so much, Dave. And I just want to congratulate all the contestants again for such a fantastic job. I'm not going to drag this out. I do have the winners, so I will go through this. We're going to go third, second, first, okay? So, the third place world champion from the Southeast region, Speaker D, Shad McMillan from the Gateway District. And as we've been holding up these checks, everybody who spoke this morning has actually earned $7,500 as a scholarship. And so these checks are being added onto this, so Shad now has $12,500. Second place, world champion from Middle America, Speaker G, Sav Jordan from West Missouri. Our first place, world champion from Optimist Francophone Canadiens, Baker H. Sarah Claude Simard. So Sarah, are you on? There she is. Congratulations, Sarah. I'd like to hand you a check, but it's a little hard from this distance. But we want to congratulate you on being our world champion this year. Yeah. Sarah, would you like to say a few words, please?
Yeah, I will try in English. So I just want to thank all the people that worked hard for this whole thing, and also thank the Club Optimist, the Rivière du Loup, for all of his support. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you've seen for the last 2.5 days, we've just had some excellent speakers, not just the ones that are represented here in the finals, but all of the speakers that are still here today, all of the speakers yesterday. And again, remember that our speakers, we have thousands at the club level, hundreds at the district level, and then we had the 50 or so that we had here. The finalists, you need to all be commended. Excellent work. And for our 3 award winners, just congratulations. We love each of you. We love this contest, and we hope that you love optimism and remain optimistic all through your life. And I'd be remiss not to point out the Optimist Creed. It was written by a gentleman by the name of Christian D. Larson, who was basically believed in positive thinking. And he wrote it at a very difficult time in the history of the United States, but certainly of the history of the world. And so whatever we do, let's always expect the best, and let's always work for the best and continue to do that. So congratulations to all. And that ends our contest. And if you want to take more pictures, feel free to do so. Safe travels home, and thank you.